In your mind, what are some of the ways this team needs to get better in order to get back and get another flag?
I'll start with the offseason and the work that's required in an offseason to be in championship shape. And, you know, we have a ways to go as a roster. And certainly there are individuals that were in phenomenal shape. There's certainly other ones that could have been in better shape. That's where my mind goes immediately is you know, we have to get in championship shape.
I wanted to read that first because Luka Doncic has taken that to heart and has done something about it. We've seen training videos come out on Luka each offseason, but this one feels different. You know, this one feels much different as the narrative has changed on Luka Doncic probably more than any player in a short amount of time. You think about him leading the Dallas Mavericks to the final and being traded by the next trade deadline the very next season. You know, it's something to behold. And we know Luka's had all these nagging calf, leg injuries, and, you know, he misses a lot of time, and we all are in agreement that he could have taken care of his body better at different times in his career. So now Luka has done just that, and we're going to get into it because I have a lot to say about this. Now, it says in the Men's Health article, which he's the cover athlete for this edition, go check that out. It says, it's an early morning in July in a quiet town in Croatia, and the 5-time NBA All-Star is alone on a private basketball court, working out with his trainer, midway through a 90-minute session that blends weight training, agility work, and shooting drills. This is the first of the day's 2 workouts for the Los Angeles Lakers star in what may be the most pivotal season of his career, and he's doing it fasted, just as he's done much of the summer. At the moment, he's driving to the basket, a thick resistance band strapped to his waist, pulling against him during every shot. The workout consists of a series of circuits, each set up to include an on-court challenge, like those resistance bands layups, and an upper body and lower body exercise. The facility, which is located in the town where Doncic has vacationed every summer since he was a teen, didn't have weights until earlier this month when he had dumbbells, barbells, weight plates, and med balls trucked in. Now Doncic can do everything from trap bar deadlifts to landmine overhead presses, and he works through sprints and jumps on an outdoor track too. He moves swiftly from circuit to circuit, banging out hip stretches one moment, working through renegade rows the next. It's a session with barely any breathers, which is fine. This version of Doncic doesn't need them. This Luka is different. You see it in the way his Jordan Brand jersey hangs loose and in the new hints of definition on his arms. You see it in the complete absence of fatigue he shows when going from heavy Romanian deadlifts to dumbbell bench presses to lateral bounds, one right after the other. And you see it in the way he smiles when he admits that he's noticed his sleek silhouette in the mirror. He subtly nods to his reshaped delts during our Zoom interview. And as he splays out his long limb physique on the bleachers in the gym, he seems relaxed, calmly making eye contact. His arms look longer today than usual, perhaps because he's just so downright slim or skinny. What the Luka haters have never seen is this: Doncic slogging through 2-a-days in Croatia while sticking to a gluten-free, low-sugar diet that includes at least 250 grams of protein and 1 almond milk-fueled shake a day. They never knew that Doncic had quietly constructed a fitness team several years ago to help enhance his very dangerous natural gifts, and they never realized how much he committed to training and diet this summer. The hardest part of Luka's off-season program came at the start. Shortly after the run of tests in May revealed that he was fully healthy, Barrio told him to quit playing basketball for a full month just to avoid the basketball court for 1 month in this offseason, Barrio says. We let them put the ball away. We just were doing some other kinds of things. They said the goal for the first time in 5 years was for Doncic to let his body recover completely from the constant pounding of basketball. Summer before in 2024, Luka had found little time to breathe since the Mavs had made the NBA Finals. He played into mid-June. Then, just weeks later, he suited up for the Slovenian national team in an Olympic qualifying tournament, eventually losing to Greece in the semis. And we remember how all that went. Now it says this summer, Luka's team had 3 full months to rebuild Doncic, so they dared to eliminate court time, and he disagreed at first, but he quickly filled the time with a weights routine that helped him build total body strength. That's that functional strength, being able to get up and down. A lot of times we see Luka pouting um, in the midst of a game when he didn't get a call going his way or whatever. But that also comes from fatigue. But it says, and he eventually found a distraction playing pickleball and paddle. For Doncic, the new games were a blast from his childhood past, long before he fell in love with basketball. They challenged new muscles, relieving his knees thanks to fewer vertical jumps while strengthening abductors, glutes, and ankles with footwork. At the beginning, it was hard, he says. I can't be without basketball, but when I was a little kid, I played a lot of sports. He stayed hungry for hoops. By early June, Team Luka finally let Doncic hit the court in what was supposed to be a 45-minute shoot-around. Doncic nailed his first shot and he worked out for an hour. And it says Doncic has maintained that momentum throughout July as Masic and Barrio have focused more on honing his superpower, the ability to generate eccentric force from all angles. Masic trains that with those resistance band drills, which constantly force the guard off center, pushing his ankles, calves, and quads to slow his landings. The move sharpened that trademark Luka elusiveness while also keeping his joints safe when he lands or steps at odd angles. Other drills have challenged Luka's much criticized conditioning. Midway through this session, Doncic heads onto the track where Masic has set up a series of hurdles. Luka sprints through them repeatedly, going over them first, then around each obstacle. Then Masic wraps a mini band around Doncic's ankles and pushes him to shuffle back and forth over a line, torching his glutes and firing up his lungs. So I wanted to touch on that and give Luka his props for everything we've seen coming out of his camp. We haven't seen many videos, but what we've seen of him just walking around Croatia or, his body. Like last time we saw him running the stairs, and I thought that was really good. I don't know if that was like a season and a half ago, 2 seasons ago. He was doing the stairs, losing weight. But right now, it looks like not only has he slimmed down, but he replaced a lot of fat with muscle. But he's not doing it in a way where he's losing his agility. He's not just becoming this bulky powerhouse. He's eating lean. He is lifting lean, but he's keeping that ability to bruise. And I remember looking at Luka even a little bit out of shape when Paul George, still playing at a high level, and Kawhi Leonard still playing at a high level. They couldn't defend him when he was in Dallas. And I can't imagine what Luka would look like now. His first year, you go back and look at his first year, first couple years, he was pretty slim. But he was never in this type of shape. And he's gotten so much better since that time. I can't even begin to imagine Luka, in tip top shape, competing on the defensive end of the floor, like not being a great defender, but just competing on that end of the floor and not being a liability. You think about Luka's run to the NBA championship or, to the NBA finals where they lost to eventual champion Boston. Um, it was clear that he was helping the team when the ball was in his hands and he was making shots, but he was the player that they constantly went at. You look back at the series with the Minnesota Timberwolves this this past season, they attacked him again. They constantly attack Luka on the defensive end of the floor, so one could argue that some of his offensive brilliance is overshadowed by um, him being such a defensive liability to the point where it's whoever is guarded by him, even if it's Rudy Gobert, go to him, and they were looking at him like that. And that's pretty bad, for Luca, and I think he took that personally. That's the only thing really preventing him from stepping forward and being the best player in the game. And you have to also wonder, like, did Shea Gilgeous-Alexander winning this championship, a team that they were able to beat in the postseason last year when he was with Dallas, did that kind of fuel him? Because now SGA sits on that mountaintop right now, and he's not about to relinquish it anytime soon. Um, and honestly, Luca would have to deal with someone like J Dub if they played OKC. Now we know Luca's more talented as a 1A option, for a team, but J Dub ain't no chopped liver. J Dub's probably one of the top 20 players, 15 players in the NBA right now, and that's being conservative because he performed at the highest level, 40-point game in the finals, certified Pippen to SJ's might. Um, and the Lakers, when I look at Luca, the commitment the Lakers made to him, you think about it's not just the Lakers and what happened this season, but think about what he just signed for. Luca was supposed to be a $300 million man. Dallas trading him took food off his table. And so he still has that motivation. That motivation can carry throughout the rest of a career. What transpired, the ending in Dallas, the abruptness of it, how he didn't have a heads up, the whole thing, Michael Finley, taking the beer out of his hand, all this stuff that, kind of transpired while he was there. Um, the Lakers, the way they were humiliated by a team that he humiliated with Dallas just a year earlier. And I think it's important, for the Lakers to build that team like the Dallas team. Luka's going to be probably a decent defender this year if he can stay in this shape, but he won't ever be like a great defender. So you need to get athletic wings like they had with Derrick Jones Jr. and those guys, but also bigs at the rim. I mean, they got Aiton. Aiton is not typically a guy who shoots a lot of foul shots, and he settles for a lot of jumpers. Now that'll be good in the pick and roll, and he obviously can catch some lobs, but he don't get the ball in the paint and bruise it all. So um, I think you need like another lob threat type of guy who does what Gafford does. I think they need to find a way to bring in Daniel Gafford for him because that's his comfort zone. That type of player. Um, Austin Reeves gonna have to step it up, going forward as well. And honestly, if they could get Max Christie back to go with Luca, I think that would be a good piece. If LeBron was to be traded to Dallas, I know some rumors there. They're talking about potentially bringing in Nikola Jokic one day in the future as well. To pair with his friend Luca. So we'll see how all this stuff go. But I kind of want to highlight Luca and the work he's been putting in. Shout out to him. Hopefully Zion is doing something similar, and hopefully they can keep the weight off during the season because again, this is the time where you can shed the weight, you can get on a routine, but how are you going to be when you're getting home late from games, and you just want to grab something to eat? You're hungry and you kind of searching for convenience. If I was them, have a chef, have me some salmon grilled already, some asparagus or broccoli or something like that, where I can grab that before I get my shower and get on in the bed, man. That's how I would do it. If I'm tempted, by convenient little snacks, sugars, and different things like that, uh, I would make sure to have a chef prepare all of my meals beforehand, so when I come in I can just grab it and eat it, if I'm looking for convenience that time of night. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.